everyone. I'm Lori Klein, and welcome to Meet the Healers. I'm glad you joined us today. Today, I'm very excited to have Debora Cohen on the show, and she's going to talk to us about a couple of things, including the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. Is that right?
Yeah.
ACEP is one of the things. And also, she's written a book about Kundalini. Is that right?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Great.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. So first of all, I want to just ask where you're located, and then you can start telling us about this organization that you're involved with.
Yeah. I'm located here in Santa Cruz, California. I got involved with the Association of Comprehensive Energy Psychology. I found out about it through my transpersonal doctoral program at ITP, which is now Sophia University. And how I got started in all this. So I was I graduated in psychology at San Jose State and took a year of graduate work. And during that time, I became a yoga instructor and a master instructor, integrative energy therapist, and eventually Reiki. And I've also have, you were saying earlier how you're interested in yoga nidra. I also have a yoga nidra CD. I have a YouTube channel and a lot of meditations and yoga. And so I've been doing yoga and energy therapy for a long time, but always interested in psychology, and became a member of ACEPS. And I went through their comprehensive energy psychology trainings, level 1 and 2, and decided to go on to get the certification energy health practitioner. And during that time, what really helped me to expand from more of a body healer person to more into the muscle testing and helping people learn techniques and all of this work that we were doing, I actually started a local group in the Bay Area. It is a nonprofit organization, so a lot of the people involved with it are volunteers. And one of the things that I became involved with a long time ago was Kundalini awakening, not only in myself, but also in my clients. And then when I went to the transpersonal doctoral program, they were very much involved with helping people with spiritual emergencies and Kundalini awakening, and how to work with people with such a strong energy and all the experiences they can have. Some people might panic or feel anxiety, especially if they don't understand what's going on, or when someone's working with the chakra system or the acupressure system, but particularly any energy modality, it's possible that the Kundalini energy could awaken. And so I was inspired to talk about it and write a book. I was actually already teaching it, and so that's how my Kundalini awakening transformation therapy came about.
So some people who are watching this might not know what Kundalini awakening means. So would you be able to try to explain what that is?
Kundalini is a Sanskrit word that means coiled, as in coiled like a snake. And it's said to be an energy that is active in us when we're being formed in the womb. And then when we're born, this energy lies like coiled up, remaining dormant in our base of our spine, which we call the first chakra area. And if it's awakened, or it's rising, or it's stimulated somehow through pressure or through spiritual practices, there's a lot of different ways it can be activated, sometimes even trauma. And it can create a very strong energy effect that a person might feel uncomfortable with, or they might feel very blissful with it. It's not really subtle. Some people might see visions or think they're hallucinating. Some people might have their bodies moving and they're not making it move. For me, my body would start moving, and I'd have these different breathing ways that I would breathe. My body would breathe a certain way. I would move different ways. clients, same thing. They would come to me and say, oh my gosh, something's happening to me. When I sleep at night, I feel like there's this energy running up my back, and I'm feeling all of these emotions.
You know, these, it sounds like an event, right? A Kundalini awakening. You have the event, and
Mhm.
then there's like before your awakening and after your awakening. Is that kind of how it works, or is it something that is that you can have it multiple times, and each time it's a little bit different? Like, can you go into that a little bit?
I think it depends on the person. And in my book, I even talk about possibly the person's energy makeup, which I consider is kind of how we're born into astrologically. I think that if it's awakened, there's probably a certain timing that that's going to happen in your life if it's supposed to happen. And if it does happen, I'm guessing that it'll happen again. It's usually not a one-time thing unless a person really tries to subdue it. It's really hard. I can't, it's kind of like answering a person's path to say that, but I'm just going to guess it will happen more than once and might happen continually. I think some people can have a control over it. So if it gets uncomfortable, they might stop meditating or doing spiritual practices because that tends to activate it more so than living life, but just living regular life, but that's not always the case. And that's why it's so challenging to say on how it is for each individual, because some people will have to pull off to the side of the road because they're having such an intense energetic experience that's beyond their control. So they just have to pull off. I've had one person say, I just had to pull off to the side of the road until it passes.
I had an experience a few years ago,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is what it was, but I was at a devotional yoga class up in Oregon. And so I felt very safe in the environment, and I knew the teacher. And I show up in class, and there was maybe, I don't know, 8 people, and we were in a circle. I sat down in my spot, and we started to do the breathing. And within 5 minutes, I felt, I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And I thought, this is what went through my head. Whatever's happening, I'm going to let it happen, because this is the place where I feel safe for it to happen.
Yeah.
I felt this wave of emotion that was just coming through me. And I'd never felt anything like that before. It just like came through, and I just started to cry, like these deep, deep sobs, like I had never cried before, and it wouldn't stop. And it was interesting because the teacher, and so I just let it come. And then eventually she came to me and took my hand and asked if I wanted to sit near her. And I ended up curling up in her lap. And she probably weighs like 95 pounds. She's a tiny little woman. And I curled up in her lap, and she just held me while she was teaching the class. And it was like 20 minutes of just like deep sobs, and it was all coming out. And then I gradually was able to, calm down a little bit. And then I sat next to her, and then, she finished the class. And then afterwards, I never really like figured out what it was or what was going on. I just felt good afterwards. Like it was a cleansing, or something was just coming out. It was crazy. So that's the closest thing. She said it was a Kundalini awakening. That's why I brought it up.
That's magical. Thanks for sharing. Sure. I have a special teacher known as Alma. She's a world-renowned international, known as like the hugging saint. She goes and hugs people.
I've heard of her. Yeah.
Just uncontrollable tears around her over and over and over again. Even just sitting in front of her statue, Kali, that she has in India, same thing. Kali is known as a very strong mother goddess who's very protective energy. And I really connect with her as well. And just any heart opening or any feeling of divine love will bring up tears, for me anyways.
Yeah.
So my mission is to let people know about it, so that if it happens, they're like, oh, I think this is what's happening to me. And then if they want someone to help them, they can, like, I do work with people with their Kundalini, and I do teach other professionals how to work with Kundalini, which is why I was inspired to put together the training and to teach therapists and other licensed or medical doctors or anyone working with clients, because some psychiatrists will put people on medicine with Kundalini rising because they have had such strong hallucinations and anxieties over it and not understanding what's going on, to be put on medicine to calm them down, psychotropic medicine. Part of my inspiration is just to really bring it out there and say it's a beautiful way for people to grow spiritually and to see it as a spiritual initiation. And I think it helps us connect more with other humans and with the planet and earth and animals. So we realize that, we're not so separate. We're not so alone. We're really interconnected. So it's a really wonderful energy to open up those dimensions and to broaden our perspectives.
Yeah, that's lovely. I love it. It's beautiful. Any way that we can help those connections, especially with nature, is definitely we need. If someone was having stuff going on that they didn't feel comfortable with, can you share some maybe examples of what things they might be feeling or things that might be happening so that they maybe can see the signs and be like, oh, I remember I watched that video and the things that I'm feeling, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, well, a lot of people will see visions of snakes, cobras. I saw visions of cobra, and not like strong hallucinations, more like in the back of my head. I would feel that sense of energy, or to the point where I actually went out and bought something that looked like what I was kind of seeing. So they might see different types of goddess symbols. Goddess symbols are kind of interesting because sometimes they've been made to be like taboo from male dominating societies. Back from what I understand, according to my study of women, we used to be more of a matriarchal society, and then it turned into patriarchal society because of all the wars that were going on for land and things. And so people might just see different symbols. Like, even, for example, I've had dreams of spiders. Spiders in the web is also kind of a goddess symbol, and different things like that. Because it's kind of moving through the chakra system and purging some of the energy blockages that might be in your system, people might act out, and they might act out emotionally as it runs up their second chakra, which has a lot of your reproductive hormones and organs, sexual organs. They might have spontaneous orgasms. That's real common with Kundalini awakening, so you don't need to have sex. And then you can also have energy orgasms, but it doesn't feel sexual at all. Like, I have them, like, I just feel it. It's hard to explain. And then their body might move. They might shake their whole body, and they might make sounds. They might do mudras with their hands. Their body might move without consciously initiating it. And for some people, they'll go into spontaneous postures, whether it be yoga postures or something else, or mudras and things like that. They could have really intense dreams because, again, they are opening themselves up. They're broadening themselves up to other dimensions, but then also they're purging. They could be purging some of their emotional blockages and traumas. And so that could come out through dreams and visions too. I had one person say, like, oh my goodness, Deborah, with his Kundalini awakening, he could see everybody had a crown on top of their head going up into the heavens, and everyone had at least one angel. Like, he could see all that.
Wow.
I know. And so some people are really visual, and then some people are real feelers. For me, it was amazing because I was already doing energy work. I could feel energy work if it was done to me, but I didn't necessarily have the connection with my clients. But once I had the Kundalini awakening, I had this amazing connection to where I knew I could see through what I was feeling, and sometimes I could see if there was a healing going on. And I could also sense if there's another presence in the room. And so there were things that I couldn't do beforehand that in once it awakened, it enriched my work. Some people might completely change what they do for a living after a Kundalini awakening. They just might lose all motivation of what they're doing and do a
Mm.
complete turnaround and do something completely different.
Yeah, so is that your primary thing that you do, is working with clients individually and teaching classes? Those are the two
Yeah,
things.
I do classes and training people about Kundalini. I just completed a 6-week training. And in addition to that, I do coaching and helping people with their goals. And I use primarily comprehensive energy psychology for that, along with energy medicine. And the thing is, I also use those techniques to also work with Kundalini. And so, how that works in a nutshell, when someone sees me, they tend to have a problem. I mean, some people will come to me right away with a goal, and that's great. But they'll tend to have a problem, and problem offers us information. A lot of us see problems are bad, but if we can look at it in the perspective that the problem's offering information, and then to find out, and a lot of that information is helping someone to refocus how they want their mind to be with a goal or intention. And so when they come in with a problem, maybe it's stress at work or with a coworker, or they come in and they're having a relationship problem or a divorce or whatever it is in life. There's so many, or they want spiritual growth. They want to know themselves better. And then once we work on the intention of what that problem is showing them, or they already come in knowing what they want to work on. I want to work on self-actualization or success or to feel better about myself. It's amazing how a lot of problems trickle down to wanting a better self-esteem or a healthier self-esteem. And then we look at their biofield.
Are you going to tell us what Biofield is?
So Biofield is our aura. It's basically another way to say aura. And so we have like an egg-shaped energy field around us. And some people might have a bigger one. And when we work on that, we want to make sure that we're receiving energy from the sky or the sun, from the top of our head, and we're receiving energy from the earth through our feet. And so we want to make sure our polarities are correct. We want to make sure our energies are crossing effectively, all 4 quadrants of our brain. And this is actually really good for people with low learning disabilities or dyslexia or ADD, all of this biofield work, and also with health problems too. There's some psychological and medical research that if their biofield is off, there's a relationship with some health issues. Once we do that, it helps a person become more clear and grounded, and it can help their treatment last. The researchers found that if we work on the biofield before we even get started, it really helps with treatment, especially if someone's working through traumas. People will also come to me with trauma because trauma can create a lot of blockages towards goals and intentions.
Mhm.
And so they'll come to me after we test and we do muscle testing. And when I work over the computer, I've been working online even before COVID. You know, there's just no barriers. I like to use a pendulum. So when I work with a pendulum, so like if I'm muscle testing a person in person, I'll use their arm. So if a pendulum, if it turns one way, that's a strong biofield energetic response. If the pendulum turns another way, it'd be like a weak arm. It's just a way to get at a person's other consciousness. And so like you, I work with other levels of consciousness. I even do soul detective work. Once we get grounded, and then we muscle test to make sure, because energy follows intention, that we're really working on the right issue that the person came in for. then we find out if there's any mental blockages towards treatment. And so a lot of times people might come in and we do a treatment unknowingly that they are blocking it because they have a mental block, kind of like a smoker who wants to come in and quit smoking, but really they have a mental blockage because if they quit smoking, they might gain weight or they might lose their social network when they go out on break. You know, we have to address those psychological reversals.
Psychological reversals.
Yeah, we have to make sure that they are clear and ready to be treated. And we take those and we expect to find them. We hunt for them. We actually look for them to make sure that they're ready to go. We're pretty effective at addressing them and finding them. You know, if someone's really had a lot of stress, we still have to continually check their biofield too, especially if there's been a lot of trauma. Usually we can get it done really fast in one appointment. Like sometimes we go really deep subconscious work really fast, like within 15 or 20 minutes. I'm also certified in thought field therapy and emotional freedom technique and soul detective and different modalities. And so what's nice about comprehensive energy psychology is we can test all the tricks that are in my handbook. You know, like, okay, what's the best treatment for you? And maybe it's nothing that I have. Maybe it's something that the person knows. Like, it didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of my trainers that the person just need to go, and this is a licensed PhD, and goes, you know, I just need to go take a walk around the block and come back. And that was the strand, and he's like, okay, and he left the office and he was like, is he gonna come back? And he came back and he was fine. Like, it's what he needed to treat. But
Wow.
but he said he was like sweating bullets, you know. He's like, but so I might, like, you know, I might do a thought field therapy, I might do emotional freedom technique, and a lot of that's the tapping. I might do the chakra work. I also will customize work. They might call for a customized treatment. What's really neat about customized work is that it's a little bit more diagnostic. And so if you're familiar with the chakra system, and they're like all these different energy centers that and each energy center has different psychophysical components to them. Maybe they just needed one or two chakras worked on versus all seven. Sometimes it's something so ingrained, you have to work on all seven. Mm-hmm. And then what's really fun about this treatment is you're actually teaching people how to work on themselves. It's very self-empowering to the client. It's very client-centered. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is what I see, like a psychic, intuitive, or anything like that. And if they ask me a question, I actually have a lot of structure on how to get them to find the answers to their questions. When I'm consulting and I'm training others to go through this certification, if they're a body worker or they've done some sort of energy work where people would come to them for psychic readings, it's giving them the opportunity where, hey, let's take the pressure off you and help them find their own answers to their questions.
So that enables the client to feel more like they have more control too over whatever it is that's happening, which is a lesson for life, because a lot of times we just give our power away to our job or to our partner or to our family, and we end up depleted. You need to take control over your own healing, because that will empower you maybe in other areas of your life too. It sounds like you've got quite a little toolkit there of different things that you can do to help people depending on what it is that they need.
Everything kind of is all interrelated. And so it all kind of boils down to wellness.
And everything's connected together too, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual. How would people get in touch with you?
A lot of People just send me an email. I made my email easy. It's DEBORACOHEN at gmail.com. And then to make it even easy to get to my website, it's DebораCohen.com.
If someone was interested in booking a session with you or getting more information about ASAP, that would be the place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just putting together my first Zoom gatherings. I'm going to put together some, and they're no charge. Just send me an email at Debora Cohen at gmail.com. Make sure there's no H at the end of Deborah. You can also find me at training.coach.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Nice to meet everybody out there listening.
Awesome.